Hi, everyone. Happy full moon. I hope you're doing well. I have so many messages to share with you. Oh my goodness. I channeled the energy of the full moon last night, and at first, not a lot was coming through, but then it started to snowball, and the messages just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. So I have a lot to share. I'm really excited about it. Now, keep in mind, all of my readings, all of my channeled messages are timeless. So it doesn't matter when you see this, if the message resonates, then it's for you. Okay. Before I dive right into sharing the messages, I just want to invite you to take some deep breaths, get grounded, and get centered while I light some Palo Santo. The full moon energy to me, no matter what sign it's in, always registers as very restless. It's almost like the atmosphere is full of static. There's like a buzzing restlessness that's very ungrounding. It's not bad, it's just ungrounding. So I want to be very intentional and just invite you to take some deep breaths. Come into your physical body. Come into this present moment and just get settled. Okay. Now let's dive right into it, shall we? Okay. So I'm going to warn you that even though I know this full moon is supposed to be in Virgo, I feel no Virgo whatsoever. Everything about the messages that have come through for me is Piscean, very surreal, very abstract, very fluid. It's beautiful. It's just not Virgo at all. Now, I know that we're in Pisces season, so to some extent that does make sense. Okay. So, when I first started to channel the energy of the full moon, I was just getting flashes of images, no words. I saw an image of the high priestess, so I immediately knew we're working with some very divine feminine, fluid energy. Then I did see the symbol for Pisces. I also saw the angel number 222. And then some words started coming, and I wrote the whole message down. I will read it to you now. And again, just keep in mind, it's kind of abstract. Light the way with your inner sight. Your inner sight knows the way. It knows the way forward, the way through, and the way to higher realms where light refracts like sunshine through stained glass. The tower and the nebulous and the fire and the rain, it all comes crashing down, and then you see it was never meant to be. Begin again. Okay, so let's start at the top. Light the way with your inner sight. When that sentence came to me, I saw it almost as if your third eye was projecting out a beam of light, and that beam of light was acting as X-ray vision, allowing you to see the way forward, even when physically the way forward is unclear. So we're being guided to really lean into our intuition right now, our inner sight, our inner knowing, right? Our connection to ourselves and to spirit, the divine, right? And I thought that sentence was so beautiful. Your inner sight will guide you to higher realms where light refracts like sunshine through stained glass. Ugh, oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. Um, so stained glass may mean something to you in particular, but if not, I think it's just a beautiful description of higher frequencies, higher realms of consciousness, right? And then the really interesting part, this sentence here, which is just basically a list, right? The tower and the nebulous and the fire and the rain. I didn't understand what it meant when it was first coming through, but then when I was looking at the words in retrospect, I thought to myself, that's the tower. That is the tower card, right? Because you have the tower itself, the structure that is built, and then the nebulous, which means something that is vague or undefined, hazy or cloud-like. To me, that is the shadow, the unconscious, that which you don't know that you don't know, coming up to light and almost like encasing the tower in this shadowy energy. And the devil comes before the tower. The tower card happens because the devil card happens. The tower happens because that which was suppressed comes to light, you know? And then the fire, which is that bolt of lightning in the tower card, destruction. And then finally, the rain, which I perceive as being sort of like the cleansing after the destruction. It all comes crashing down, and then you see it was never meant to be, begin again. So we're being guided by this full moon to embrace the beauty and the power of the tower card. The tower card is the medicine of the tower card is profound, even though it's one of those cards that everybody's afraid of and nobody really wants to go through a tower card moment. They can be incredibly unsettling, destructive, and life-changing. But sometimes that has to happen, because what's actually happening is, in a tower card moment, is that everything which is inauthentic is coming crashing down, leaving you standing with only that which is authentic. So it reminded me of something else that I channeled. This was probably a month ago now. I channeled this sentence through the tower card, and I thought I would share it with you. Let it all go. What is authentic can never be lost. I thought that was so beautiful. When that came through, I was like, oh my God, that's going on Instagram. That needs to be shared, right? So let it all go, right? If you're going through a tower card now or ever, just know that even though it's challenging, it's beautiful. What's coming on the other side is beautiful, and it's so much more authentic, right? Now, and then also, no, wait, I'll tell you this first. There's so many things to say. Okay, no, I'll do this first. So after I finished channeling all of this, which I still have more to share with you about what I channeled, I went to read this book that I'm currently reading right now. It's called Burning Woman by Lucy Pierce. And the first thing that I read after I finished channeling was this quote by Vicky Noble from a book called Shakti Woman. And the quote is this: "There is energy released from within that carries with it the power to heal. First destruction, then creation. The fire burns through the old structures, eradicating them, transmuting their energies to a higher vibrational level. Then the creative energy released from the destruction allows for the cure. That was a synchronicity. So again, that was, to me, that was just affirming, where it's almost like we're being called to look at the power of destruction in our lives. And so often we perceive destruction as this awful, horrible thing. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's a gift, right? And sometimes we just need to let the destruction happen, because like a forest fire, it's actually just clearing the way for new growth, you know? Okay, a couple more channeled messages that came through. The thought or the question just came to me as I was still in the channeled state. If time is a spiral, what does this current energy feel like or remind me of? And immediately, I without thinking, I was still in a channeled state. I just saw 2014. And it wasn't until a few moments later that I realized that was 10 years ago. I, I didn't think to myself anything about the number 10, or, it was just 2014. And then I realized, whoa, that was exactly 10 years ago. Oh my God. So there's something, whatever is happening now, whatever energy this full moon is carrying, it's carrying something like an echo almost of whatever was happening in 2014. So I would just invite you to think about what you were going through in 2014 and how it might relate to what you're going through right now. For myself, I know that 2014 was one of the most life-changing years ever for me. I made one of the biggest decisions of my life in 2014, and it was a decision that was destruction. It was a major ending to something that I thought would never end. But that decision to let the tower fall lined me up with my freedom. So I thought that was just so fascinating. So I'd be curious to know how it correlates for you. What were you going through 10 years ago that is similar to what you're going through now? And then last but not least, if you work with plant energy at all, I heard blueberries, lavender, raspberry leaf, and rosacea, which I think is just like a broad title for a type of plant, and there's many different types that fall under it. So rosacea, I think, includes strawberries and roses and like peaches and all kinds of stuff. But I just heard rosacea. And then in terms of animal energies that are coming through, I heard spider and elephant, which is funny because it's like the biggest and the smallest animals. And then in terms of crystals, I heard pink quartz, which is just rose quartz, but it came through as pink quartz, and malachite. Okay. So those were the channeled messages. I tried to be succinct. Now let's just pull a few cards to wrap things up. I actually felt called to pull out a Compendium of Witches Oracle. Rather than a tarot deck, it's an oracle deck. So I'm just going to use my intuition If I feel like looking up the meaning in the guidebook, then I'll do that. Let's see. First, I want to ask, what beauty, light, or power is this full moon connecting us to? What beauty, light, or power is this full moon connecting us to? You gotta be kidding me. The moon. And it's a full moon, too. Well, this to me just affirms everything that I was feeling with this very feminine Piscean energy. I'm sure there's some thread of Virgo somewhere in there, but I'm just not feeling it. So we're being invited to look at the power of our intuition, the power of our feelings, the power of our inner knowing, the beauty of our divine feminine. Because we all have both masculine and feminine. But right now, we're being guided to engage more deeply with our feminine. Wow. Okay. Now, what shadow is this full moon revealing? What shadow is this full moon revealing? Oh, interesting. I didn't cut the deck in the way that I normally did. I wasn't even thinking about that. I just turned the deck over to look at the bottom of it. That was intuitive. We have teeth. Oh, you know what else came through last night that I totally forgot to say? Connecting with your ancestors. That was a message that came through last night. Now is a good time to connect with your ancestors. And for some reason, this reminded me of that. Maybe because it's bones. It's some kind of jawbone with the teeth. I feel called to look up the guidebook meaning of this. Let's see, 59. Okay. Teeth. Pain, conflict, and aggression. The shadow's jaw clenches with tension. It snarls at you, baring its teeth and grinding them viciously. Saliva drips from its lip as the red taste of iron floods its mouth, flowing through its gums like caustic streams. The teeth card represents what causes pain and suffering, and specifically the aches that come from difficult confrontations and clashes, whether internal or with others. Okay, wow. Yeah, so when I was shuffling actually and just asking the question, what shadow is this full moon revealing? I heard the word hatred. And then I got distracted because I was reminded to connect with your ancestors. I had to say that. Um, wow, okay. So what shadow are we being invited to look at? We're being invited to look at the part of us that holds anger. Can you engage more deeply with the part of you that is angry, the part of you that wants to be violent sometimes, the part of you that wants to be defensive, the part of you that wants to cause pain because it is in pain, right? I think maybe there is a feminine aspect of your consciousness that is angry, and that's a beautiful thing. Taking your anger out on other people, hurting other people, not so much a beautiful thing, but the anger itself is beautiful. That's something actually that this book I'm reading is talks a lot about the sacred anger of the feminine. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, what advice does Spirit have for us at this time? What advice does Spirit have for us at this time? Ooh, the Reconciler. Well, that makes me think of reconciliation. Let's look up the guidebook definition. So this is number 17. And look, there's another moon. There's another full moon in the image. Diplomacy, silver linings, acceptance and improvement. Her veins boiled with rage, but her mind stilled her violent thoughts. She had seen too much hate to welcome more of it. She decided to use her strength for something good. The river had taught her that no obstacle is too great if one has a clear objective. The reconciler represents the ability to accept what we cannot change and focus our energies on achievable steps. Like dripping water hollowing out a stone, patience and a sense of direction moves us closer to our goals. Wow. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. Okay. So, there you have it. Embrace the power and the beauty of your feminine energy and all that that encompasses, right? The power of your intuition, your inner sight, your inner knowing, the power of destruction, because it paves the way for creation. Engage with any parts of you that are angry. Honor that anger, and rather than acting out on it, use it to your advantage. Use that anger as fuel for positive change. All right, guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next reading. Happy full moon.